Hi there, it's Time Lord here, just finishing off a filming session, and it's Giggles Juice Monday. So what have I got for you today? Well, I'm not in my Time Lord dress and coat and so on, scarf and bowler hat, because I've been videoing in the studio and it's just a bit cluttery and so on, so I'm in another dimension. So what do I want to talk to you about today? I want to talk to you about the very first Mini and the Ford Fiesta. So I think it was British Leyland at the time. I mean, they were always on strike at the time. I remember it. I grew up through that period of time. But British Leyland bought out the Mini, okay? And they bought out the Mini, and the other car companies were really, really worried because they saw this new vehicle, because everybody had to drive estates or saloon cars. It was really the first small car hitting this country. And so other car companies like Ford were very worried about the Mini coming out. So what they did was, they actually bought a Mini, took it apart, looked at it, and they worked out one very important thing. Every Mini sold lost money. They worked out that nobody could make a car that small for that price and sell it at that price. Every single one lost money. So Ford Fiesta, instead of saying, we're going to do the same with lost leaders, they said, they've got an idea, a smaller car, for people to use, going to work, commuting, etc. It wasn't as busy as it is today on the roads, but even so, they had this perception. But they didn't try and match British Leyland and Mini. They built something called the Ford Fiesta, the very first one. And they sold it at a profit. They weren't worried about meeting the price point lower. They came into the market with another car, but the Mini had disrupted the marketplace, but Ford were concerned about making a profit. So Ford built the Ford Fiesta. Now, which car lasted longer in various iterations? Which car came back only because it was bought by the Germans, BMW? The Mini, years and years and decades later, the Mini had gone out of production. The Ford Fiesta, it's still being made in a new format, in new shape, new engine today. You can still buy it today. It hasn't gone out of production. It's probably the best-selling small car of all time, of history. So therefore, when you're thinking about your business, think about cost. Think about then what you're going to sell your services or your products for, and don't undercut. Don't do mates rates. Just don't do it. I've done it. I've been there. Don't do it, because that then goes around and people expect the same price for what you've just done. Don't say, I'm doing discounts. Discounts is lying in the majority of businesses. Some it's applicable to, but the majority, I would say, don't do discounts. Just come up with packages or services at a cost point that reflects you, your experience, and your value. And don't race to the bottom. I work in photography, video, media. It is a race to the bottom. I gave up doing weddings, doing kids, doing families, doing pets, etc. because people wanted to come in, pay 20 quid, 50 quid at most for a Groupon shoot in a studio, and then they wanted all of the images digitally, and I never ever printed any, because that's what they wanted. Or I bought a printer, a big expensive printer, and then I started printing them to try and get that business in myself. But eventually I had to sell the printer because it went wrong about 2 years in. It was really expensive to repair. So don't undercut yourself. So what have I done in my business? I have ditched all personal photography. I've ditched weddings. There are 3,000 wedding photographers in Middlesex. I saw $49.95, 14-hour wedding, everything on a digital stick for you. So therefore, don't undercut. Find your niche in your marketplace, cost it accordingly, and don't be embarrassed to charge at a rate that reflects your value and what you are worth to a client. Take the example of Ford, not British Leyland. That's me, that's the Time Lord. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you on your quest, because it's probably a mission from God. But hey, be careful out there. Cheers, bye.